What we're really saying is that before you bid or before you start bidding, go to the property. I'd rather deal with a property that's vacant than deal with property that someone doesn't want to allow me to go into this property.
This is where it becomes difficult. We're also buying it with its interior. And now if it's messed up in the interior and I didn't bid at that right price, I'm going to find myself in trouble.
And today, just briefly, we're going to be speaking about auctions. We're going to be speaking about buying a property on auction. We're going to be speaking about selling property on auction. Because man, we're the property brothers, guys. Hit them high, hit them hard. What's up with that quote?
So we attended an auction, I think it was it last year?
Yeah.
It was late last year, right? We attended an auction late last year. And it was really nice. It's really nice seeing the environment when it comes to an auction. And also even going live, you also get a different, when you're looking at it live, it's a different vibe. So
you know which vibe did I get when I was there?
Yeah.
Remember the Wolf of Wall Street? When it just feels like a madhouse, everybody's just like, numbers, let's close. It was crazy, guys. You should attend the auction once.
Now, with a lot of companies, I know that you need to remove it on other platforms so that it can only be with this private auction.
Yeah. Now, why do you think that most of the time these guys only want to be the sole people that are actually selling their property?
It makes sense. Like, with these guys, in terms of auction, what they'll be doing is that they are going to advertise your property. So they're going to do posters. I know this a lot, especially when you go around Johannesburg North. You see these posters of these private auctions, and they post it everywhere. So I mean, imagine if you had already posted they had done the work in terms of posting your property and promoting it. All of a sudden now you are like, I'm having second thoughts about this. So now with that, I'm 100% sure that it makes sense for the marketing that trust us. Once you are 100% sure that you want to sell your property with them, you list it with them and they become the sole mandates, and it's only them that are going to list it. The last one before I move away from this point is that we have this bad stigma of auctions because we do not necessarily understand how auctions operate these days. So sometimes when we hear auction, I think that this person couldn't pay, so now they're taking that house from them, which is not the case. You can voluntarily take your property for an auction, but we are going to elaborate on that later on. Tell us why should one get pre-qualified before they even go to these three types?
Okay, so now pre-qualification becomes really important when you're looking at selling your property or buying your property through an auction.
Yeah.
Reason being, when you start bidding on a property, we need to understand that do we have the money or are we able to raise the money for us to buy the property, right? I'll give you a classic example. There are fees that you're going to be incurring, which we'll speak about it later on the video, right? There are fees that you incur as somebody that purchases the property. So say for instance, if 10 rand, you had to put down 10 rand. I'm not saying that it is 10 rand. I want you guys to look at the whole live because we're going to be speaking about the real numbers at the end. If I'm going to say I'm putting in 10 rand as a deposit for registration on the property and I start bidding, only to find out that I can't qualify for the property that I actually bidded for. This means that this 10 rand that I put as a deposit is going to be forfeited. Now, if you do a pre-qualification, at least you know that you do have a chance to actually purchase that particular property at that price that you had actually requested. Now, pre-qualification would actually do is that it will set a minimum or a maximum amount that you can't go over. So say for instance, if your pre-qualification was 700,000 and you saying that you want to purchase the property at 600,000, you know that the bid can't go over the 700,000. So that's why I always encourage people that before you actually purchase a property, go for a pre-qualification and then you have a better chance of actually getting that property.
I mean, to take it home, right? And I want to give you a practical example of what has happened. We were in a situation whereby we got accepted, and this is the practicality of property investing. You can get accepted as an individual looking at your credit. So when your bank was looking at you, your income versus expenses and how much you have, they gave you the thumbs up. But now, as soon as you saw a specific property that you wanted, and now you said that you want to buy this property, only to be rejected on the basis of the property. So what we're saying is that we need to understand how the buying process, how it starts. Because now you can be pre-qualified. You can be pre-qualified looking at your income, your expenses, and your credit. You get a thumbs up. But now the property itself was not qualified by the bank. So that's when it's going to be a problem, and hence it's very important for you as the buyer, especially as an investor, that you make sure that you can get those funds somewhere somehow. Because if you then deposited, as Lebu did mention, if you then deposited 100K to invest, that's a problem. Now you deposited the 100K, so let's just put this in practical terms. I deposited the 100K to bid, right? And then I was bidding. I already did my pre-qualification. When they looked at me, they gave me a thumbs up. I won the bid at 500,000. So me winning the bid at 500,000, now I went back to my bank and I was like, I won the bid. I'm really excited about this. Can you fund this property? The bank comes back and says that we can't fund the property. The problem is not with you, it's with the property. That's where the problem is now, because now what needs to then happen is that I need to raise these funds. And if I don't have access to these funds, now I would have forfeited this 100K. So it's very important to really understand when it comes to the pre-qualification process, how does it affect you as a bidder?
Of course. Now, Voetstoots.
Yeah.
Right? We all know about Voetstoots. We've heard about Voetstoots. Please tell us, what is Voetstoots and how does that affect us as property investors?
So Voetstoots is you buy it as is. And now, however, now with the new South African laws is that you as the buyer, you as the seller, you need to disclose what is wrong with the property. So I'd recommend that every buyer makes sure that they know what they're buying. But now let's put this back into context with auction.
Yes.
Now look at it. If there's 300 people that will be auctioning, you're not gonna necessarily see it in a situation whereby all 300 of us will be going to see that property. So that's where it becomes very difficult, because now with auctions, most of the time it's more Voetstoots. So the most that you could do is walk around the area and understand the area and see the property from outside. But now again, we're not buying the exterior of the property. This is where it becomes difficult. We're also buying it with its interior. And now if it's messed up in the interior and I didn't bid at that right price, I'm going to find myself in trouble.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that the Voetstoots law, when it comes to property, that we are buying what is.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that you did actually do the separation between the two. That with the new law right now, with the property practitioners, right, you as a seller need to disclose everything that's wrong with the property. Now, if you don't disclose everything that's wrong with the property, especially with the things that we can't see with our naked eye, like a roof leakage, someone can actually come back and be like, you need to fix that particular roof. I know I signed Voetstoots, but you didn't actually tell me that there's this particular problem. Now, if you're looking at Voetstoots on an auction, especially if you're looking at a sheriff auction, now that's the worst, because you won't be able to actually go to the property. You can't even request for that document that states that what is the problem with the property. So I like the fact that you actually did speak about that. Now, the conditions of the sale of the property.
So the conditions of the sale is the same as your OTP. So when you're looking at it about buying the property, in a sense whereby you have your estate agent and you have your conveyancer, so we'll be looking at the OTP in that way. However, now when it comes to auction, I need to understand the conditions of the sale. So if I'm given a document as the seller, even as the buyer, I need to understand what is happening there. And this is the sad reality, that a lot of people do not invest in themselves to understand what's happening there. Only to find out that now, yes, I did sell the property, or yes, I did buy the property. But now what does it mean looking at it from a legal eye? So I personally wouldn't go into any deal, any offer to purchase. I wouldn't sign anything until I fully understand what did I sign.
Yeah.
Till today, on the recent buy that we did, Lebu gave the offer to purchase to our conveyancer. Reason being, I understand that myself as a property investor, my only duty is to identify good deals. And then now I've got a team that is responsible for the other things, because I know that a lot of people would love saving, in a sense whereby, do I really need to pay that lawyer? Do I really need to take out that extra 1,500? But look at it this way. If something is to really go bad, then you'd really evaluate.
Yeah. So now let's go to the three types of the auctions, right?
Yeah.
We're going through the three types of auctions. So the first one, we have the sheriff auction, right? That's the creepy one. We have the sheriff auction, right? And then we have the auction that is bank mandated, right?
Yeah.
I had a bit of a tongue twist there. Bank mandated, right? And then we have a private auction whereby it's the owner that wants to sell the property, right? So let's start from the owner that wants to sell the property. So now it does happen sometimes that you have a property and you want to sell the property. However, you don't feel comfortable with having the property onto Property 24 and hoping for a person to actually come through and purchase that property. Now what then happens is that you would go to an auction, a private auction, to actually tell them that, guys, I want to sell my property through an auction. So what they'll then do is that they'll put you on their database, they'll advertise it for the time from the time you gave them the mandate until the auction. And then if nobody has actually purchased the auction, they'll put your property onto the auction. So now, what then happens, this process may take from 4 to 6 weeks. So depending on how fast that particular auctioneer is able to get properties, right? If we're going to be auctioning the property. With the private one, I have something which is called reserved price. So reserved price basically means that if my property is worth 800,000, right? And I've been paying down this property, I bought it, let's say, way back when it was 200,000. And I'm saying that, you know what, I'm willing to take 600,000 on this property. What I can do is that I can say that my reserved price, or the least amount that I'm willing to take on this property that's worth 800,000, is 600,000. So when you go start bidding, when they start bidding, what's going to happen is that they're going to start at that 600,000 going up. Now, depending on where it stops, that's what you're going to be getting. So that's with the private auction.
So wait, what happens in a situation whereby, okay, the bidding starts, but it doesn't get to the price that you wanted? Let's say it stops at 200,000 with a private auction. What then?
So we said reserve price is 600,000, right?
Yeah.
So now, say for instance, if they're starting to bid right now and they're saying 600,000 and nobody raises their hand,
yeah,
what would then happen is that the property won't be sold on that particular day. So it does happen that sometimes they may call you and say that the best offer that we're getting right now is the 600,000, or they might say that even the best offer that they're getting is 580,000. Now, the question would be then upon you that as a seller, do you want to sell the property for 890,000 or 580,000? So that will be totally dependent on you as the seller.
So as the seller at that point in time, Lebo, I like how you wrapped it up, that it's now up to you.
Yeah.
But we need to be well aware that if there are going to be any more expenses on that property, they're going to come back to me. So you need to understand what are your full expenses on the property. So when I'm saying the full expenses, we're looking at your bond, how much is still needed. Then we're looking at your rates and taxes. If you have been paying the rates and taxes, and then you don't need to stress about that. But however, even it's your rates and taxes and also your levies. So if it's in an estate, that's something else that we still need to consider before we even take that amount.
So now we have something that's called a bank mandated auction, right?
Yeah.
So now with bank mandated auction, what happens is that the auction will take place. However, the bank just wants to recover. From their side, they want to recover that amount. So what some other banks do is that they also allow the person that wants to sell the property, or the owner, the current owner, they do allow them to review the offers that they are actually getting. So say for instance, properties with 800,000, right?
Yeah.
Now we said that we want 600,000 from the property, right? And now we're only getting 580,000 as an offer, right? However, we only owed the bank 200,000, right? Now at this point, the bank still gives you the liberty to say that I want to reject this 580,000 offer, right? At this point, the bank is not fully angry with you to a point whereby they are now forcing you to sell the property. I think this is something that we need to have a conversation with between ourselves and the bank. Once you start seeing that, don't wait for the bank to send you subpoenas and court orders and all of those things. Once you start seeing that, you know what, I'm not getting an income anymore, go to the bank, have a conversation with them that, guys, you know what, I owe you this amount of money from this property and I want to sell the property in order for you to get your money back. Now in that way, that's why you've also seen something that's called easy sale, right? Easy sale, whereby they are helping you to sell the property that you have right now. In that situation, you still have the liberty to actually negotiate on the prices.
So yeah, man. And that one, right? With that one, it favors. If we're looking at who's really getting favored in terms of the bank auction, as the buyer, because now you can get it at not necessarily way below, but you can get a property on a discount. And now, I mean, at the end of the day, we also know the importance, especially as an investor. We know that once you get a property with a discount, you are getting equity. And if you know the game, you know how to use the equity. And or if you don't know the game and you don't know how to use equity, make sure that you join us on the 1st of April. We are hosting a workshop. If you think that that is too far, we're doing something really exciting. We've never done this before, and I've never seen anybody do this before. So recently what we did is that we hosted a workshop whereby it was just for 10 people. It was just for 10 people. We were searching for property deals the whole day. That's what we did with our clients. So from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m., we were just searching for deals. And then the next one that we want to do right now is that someone called us from Durban and was like, "Gents, I can't wait for the 1st of April. The 1st of April is too far. How can you guys assist me now? I've got a property on me and I need to understand that should I be signing this offer to purchase or not?" So what we're doing is that we said that we are going to be hosting a workshop, sitting with you guys. You come through with maximum of 3 deals. So not everybody, of course, we're not going to be looking at everyone at the same time, but everyone will then have that opportunity with us to see that, or what should I expect before I even invest in this deal. So that's what we'll be doing on this. And if you are interested, in this, just send us an email here, and then we'll be more than happy to sit down with you. We said it's going to be March.
The 18th of March.
The 18th of March. So the sole purpose of this workshop is that we will be looking and analyzing the deals that you are having so that we can give you inputs on what you can expect.
Now, we want to make this deal sweeter for you. So remember, on the 1st of April, right, we're having an event whereby we're going to be hosting 100 property investors under one roof. I'm really excited about that one. So if you do,
and that's the first one for the year.
That's the first one for the year. Yeah. If you do purchase your ticket, right, from today until or if you have actually also purchased your ticket until the 18th of March, you will have live access to this one of the 500 on the 18th of March. So now this is what we say. If you purchase your ticket right now or between today and the 18th of March, what you're going to have is a live access. We're going to be streaming this this workshop whereby we're going to be analyzing deals. However, if you only want to analyze these deals with us, come through with a deal and let us analyze these deals. The tickets are only going for 500 Rand, and then you can actually send us an email on info@nowealth.co.za. Strictly analyzing deals on that day. I'm not going to be speaking about what. All we're going to be hearing is 100,000 return on investment, gross yield. That's it.
And to make it sweeter again, if you are about to go into a joint venture, and I mean our lawyer will be there.
Yeah,
our property lawyer will be there. So to make the deal sweeter for you is that if you want access to a lawyer who will be assisting you now to also analyze a offer to purchase or a contract, you need to come through. Of course, you need to come through with it. You can't come through and say that she must type it for you, because that's going to be a lot. So what you can do is that if you were planning to go into a joint venture, or you want to buy a property with your partner, but you're not sure about how to structure that, or you've got an offer to purchase, you want to make sure that everything that's written there makes sense, make sure that you do reach out to us. And then what we will do is that we'll send you back the poster and where it will be, but it will be in Gauteng.
Yeah. So now let's go to the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
This one needs a moment of silence.
This one is tough, bro. This one is tough. Man.
So, sheriff auctions, what happens is that you have actually, or somebody, I don't even want to put you into this particular situation, but somebody has actually purchased the property, they purchased via bond, and now they are owing the bank, and now they need to sell their property. Or sometimes the property was paid in full, however, they signed their property as surety that they'll pay for a loan. Now they can't pay for that loan and the property needs to be repossessed. So now when the property gets repossessed, it needs to be sent to the sheriff auction. Now this is a jungle. Like everybody's just out there for themselves and they're not looking at anybody's interest. It's about getting the property at the lowest price possible. Right? Now, the first step that I actually want to do is that, the first point that I want to say is that this is the final step that the bank does to actually recover their money. So I know a lot of people are like, banks always want to send us to the sheriff auction. Trust me, guys, banks don't really want to go to the sheriff auction. However, if you leave them no choice, at the end of the day, the final step that they do take is to put the property onto sheriff auction for it to get auctioned.
Yeah, man. And also looking at it right from the sheriff auction, as a seller, you are at the back foot, because now whatever price that will be sold at, you are still going to be liable, and it's still going to be flagged that this has happened to you. Whereas if you're looking at that you've defaulted, so when you're looking at the other way, whereby the bank auction, whereby I did approach the bank and I was still paying, however, I could see that, you know what, I'm not able to pay this anymore. Hence, even a lot of times you see that people that do not want to move out of that house, you see it a lot more common in sheriff auction rather than your bank auction or your voluntary. Because now your voluntary, it will be me saying that, you know what, I would like to sell this house before I even get into trouble. Whereas when I'm looking at my bank auction, it's more of, I can see that I'm getting in trouble, but I'd like to get rid of it before it's too late. Now, when I'm looking at sheriff auction, already now it's really bad, and now it's tough to go out. Hence, a lot of people don't even want to get out of the houses because they're like, what will they do? The worst thing they can do is just throw me out. So I don't want seeing people in this situation, because the terrible thing about it is that it's not only good for the seller, it's bad on both sides. It's not only bad on the seller, right? It's bad on both sides. Look at this experience. If you are getting someone who's still new into the property game, they went to auction, they bid it, yes, they got it way below. Let's say you bought it at 400,000, a house worth 1 million. Now, this person is a beginner. Now, that person who's living in that property doesn't want to move out. Look at the ripple effect it's having, because this person will have a terrible experience when it comes to property investing. And now, even going forward, I doubt, because I also know so many people that have been like, you know what, imagine I've been paying my bond for the past 2 years, but I don't even live in that property. Imagine how terrible that is.
And now the ripple, speaking about the ripple effect that happens now. Yeah. When you go onto Property 24, some properties are listed on Property 24. However, the person, so let me just give you a classic example of what happens, right? So someone has the property, right? We'll call that person A. So person A has a property and they default on the payments and it goes to auction. They sell the property on auction and then person B purchases the property. However, when purchaser B goes back to number A, they say that, man, you have to move out because this property is registered into my name. Person B says that I don't want to move out of this property. This is my property. It was given to me by my forefathers, or whatever story they're going to give you, right? Now, person B holds on to this property and finds out that, you know what, I can't win this battle, or I'm going to go to the auction. I'm going to go to the sheriff to try to get them removed. They tell you that it's going to take around 6 months for you to take them out. Now, person B goes on to Property 24. This is a ripple effect, guys. Yeah. They go into Property 24 and list the property. Now the property is listed on Property 24. You are saying that, no, this is because this person is like, you know what, I just want to break even. So I'm just going to be selling it for 450,000. They bought it at 400,000. They say that they want to sell it at 450. Now person C comes through and they don't want to even view the property because it's a discount. Person C purchased the property, signs the offer to purchase, and didn't go view the property. Now can you see, now it has actually went through 3 people. However, person A is the one that started this whole mess. Now what we're saying is that we're not discouraging sheriff auctions. What we're really saying is that before you bid or before you start bidding, go to the property. I'd rather deal with a property that's vacant than deal with the property that someone doesn't want to allow me to go into this property.